Okay, so in this quick review, we're going to talk about polynomial long division. And I'm just going to honestly jump right into it. So there's really two different ways to talk about this. So the first is the easier case, which is dividing a polynomial by a monomial. And so what is a monomial? So a monomial has that word mono in it, and so it is a one-term polynomial. So these are all examples of one-term polynomials: x squared, 5x squared, y to the 7th, 9x, 3. They all have one term. So when you're dividing by just one term, it's actually a pretty straightforward process. So I'll show you an example. So for instance, I have this whole polynomial here. And by the way, I've reviewed everything about polynomials in another video, so I'm assuming you know what a polynomial is. If not, I have a whole video on that. But okay, so here is my polynomial, and then notice that I am dividing by one monomial, one term, right? Okay, so what is the best way to set this up? So I actually think that kind of the easiest way for you to kind of look at this is to set it up in a visual way. So notice what I'm doing here. I am taking each term in my polynomial, and then I am dividing it by that one monomial. But look at what this allows me to do now. So this is really what's happening, is each term just needs to be divided by that monomial. So from here, now all I have to do is use my exponent rules. So specifically, like for x to the 4th over x squared, so what am I going to do for that? I am just going to subtract 2 from the exponent. So this is going to be x squared. And then same thing here. So here I can subtract 2 from the exponent, so this will be 7x. And then in this case, the x squareds will drop out so that I'm just left with plus 8. So if you want to maybe give that a try, I'd say maybe pause here. Just make sure that you're solid on that. You do want to be good on this before we go on to the harder topic. So just make sure that you're good on this. Hit play when you're ready. So I will go ahead and set this up. So I've got 6x squared divided by 3x. I've got the 15x divided by the 3x. And then the 10 over the 3x. Okay, so let's see. Where can I make my simplifications? So I can subtract 1 here, and then 3 goes into 6 twice. So this first term, this will just be 2x. And then here, so 3 goes into 15 5 times. These x's will just drop out entirely. So this becomes just 5. And then what do you do with this 10 over 3x? So it kind of depends, but a lot of times you'll just leave it as is. Now, the only thing that I will say about this is that now this is no longer a polynomial because now we have an x in the denominator. But we did complete the division. We did do what we were asked, so we will just leave it at that. And just to round out this topic and just to make it a little more interesting, so another way that you could be presented with this problem would be something like this. So it looks like a giant fraction, but it's literally the same thing, right? So there's multiple ways that you can represent division, and this is one of those ways. And so I have all these terms over, once again, one single term. And I think just to not mess with your brain, I think that it's best to separate this into pieces. So I always say that, you know, a lot of times with math, it's not so much, you know, that I don't think that you can't do this simple math. It's that sometimes when math looks simple, like, oh, I could just do this in my head, I don't have to break this into pieces. What I notice happens is that people will go too fast and like miss something because it was so simple. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, so I've separated this into 3 different parts. So now I've got 25 over 5. So this is going to be 5. And then I just need to subtract the exponents. So this will be x. So I'm going to take 6 minus 3. So this will be x to the 3rd. And then y to the 3rd. So 5 minus 2. Okay, moving on to the next one. So 30 divided by 5 is going to be 6. And then I'm going to have this 4 minus this 3. So this will just be x. And then y, because again, that'll be 3 minus this 2. Now for this last one. So in this case, what you're going to notice is that the top and the bottom cancel out. So what does this equal? Does this equal nothing? Or does this equal something? This is a really common error. That's why I put this in here. So these you can really think of as you are dividing this by itself. Anything divided by itself equals 1. So this is going to be plus 1. So just something to watch out for. Okay, so now let's get to the main event here, which is polynomial long division. So first, I just want to remind you how regular long division works, because this really shows us the path forward with polynomial long division. So let's say I want to take 735 divided by 3. So I can set up the long division like so, right? So whatever you're dividing by goes on the outside of the long division. And so then what do you do for this? So you ask yourself, what do you multiply 3 by to get as close to 7 as possible without going over? And the answer to that would be 2, right? So then I would take 2 times 3, which is 6. And what do I do with that? I subtract off the 6. And so 7 minus 6 is 1, and then I can bring down the 3. And now that we're here, we restart the process. So what can I multiply 3 by to get to 13, as close as possible to 13 without going over? So that would be 4. 4 times 3 is 12. What do we do with that? We subtract it off. 13 minus 12 is 1. Bring the 5 down. 3 goes into 15 5 times. So this is going to be 245 with no remainder. Okay, so now let's apply that logic to this next problem here. So I've got x squared plus 6x plus 5 divided by x plus 5. So first of all, I want to note that this is not a monomial, right? This is 2 terms. And so that's what changes us into a long division problem. The other thing actually that I want to point out is we actually don't even really need long division in this example, because you might notice x squared plus 6x plus 5, this actually will factor into x plus 5 times x plus 1. So in the event that something easily factors, if you're dividing by one factor, the answer should be the other factor. So our answer should be x plus 1. But I'm bringing this up because then we know what our target should be. So let's see if, I always like to kind of point out, okay, we know what the answer should be, so let's see if the math works. So let's cross our fingers, right? Okay, so I'm going to set this up with the same logic as long division. I've got x plus 5, and then I've got x squared plus 6x plus 5. So don't let this plus 5 throw you off. This is just coming along for the ride. It's going to be this here that's driving everything. So using the same logic from before, what do I need to multiply x by to get to x squared? And in this case, it would be x. X times x gives you x squared. So now, just like we would have in long division, I'm going to take x times all of this. So remember, the 5 is just coming along for the ride. So x times x is x squared. 5 times x is 5x. Now, remember, with long division, what did we do after we did that multiplication? We subtracted this off. Now, this can kind of mess with people's heads sometimes, so you want to be a little careful when you get to this part. You need to make sure that you find some way to reliably distribute this minus sign. Now, one thing I've noticed students do over the years when they're first kind of getting used to this is sometimes they will actually replace all the signs in the problem with like another color. So they'll flip every single sign. So now I can see that this is x squared minus x squared, which does what? That cancels out the x squareds, which was our goal. But also now I can see that I need to take 6x minus 5x, which is x. And then I can bring down the plus 5. And then what do? We repeat the process. So it's, again, this is just coming along for the ride. So what do I need to multiply x by to get to x? Well, in that case, it would just be 1, right? Anything times itself will be itself. So now I'm going to take 1 times all of this, 1 times x plus 5. So this is going to be x plus 5. I'm going to subtract this off. And of course, now you can see, right, x plus 5 minus itself will, of course, equal 0. And hey, isn't this exactly what we said we were looking for the answers? So it's always nice to know that, yes, indeed, math does work. Okay, so now let's pivot to something a little harder. So now I've got 4x cubed plus 3x plus 5 divided by 2x minus 3. Okay, so I'm going to set up the same problem type, but watch this. So one of the things when you're doing long division is you want your exponents to go in descending order. So if I'm starting at x cubed, then the next term should be x squared. If there is no term in your descending order, you put in a placeholder. So I'm going to write 0x squared because it's going to make my life easier. You'll see why in a second. Okay, so here's everything. So let's work this out together now. So I strongly recommend, like, by the way, I do have like free PDFs of notes for this kind of stuff. So I would recommend that you're writing something down. But I want to just kind of push you right into the deep end on this right away. So I would really prefer that you have a piece of paper and that you try this one alongside me. I'll kind of walk you through it, okay? So let's go through this. What do I need to multiply 2x by to get to 4x cubed? Pause the video if you need to write down a guess. So this should be 2x squared. Okay, so 2x squared times 2x will give me 4x cubed. So now I need to take 2x squared times all of this. So what I want you to do is I want you to take 2x squared times all of this, subtract that off, and see what you get. So finish the subtraction and then hit play. That will be the best next step. So 2x squared times 2x is 4x cubed. 2x squared times -3 will give me -6x squared. And now you can see why I wanted that placeholder, right? Because now I have some place to put that x squared term that comes up in the long division. But remember, we said we have to subtract all of this off, and this is also why this gets a little confusing. So now I want to flip all of my signs. So I'm going to write this as a -4x and this is a +6x. So I like to go through and replace those so that it's really obvious what I need to do. And now I can see my 4x cubes drop out, and I'm just left with 6x squared. Okay, so now what? So now we bring the 3x down, and then what? Now we just repeat the process, right? So what do I need to multiply 2x by to get to 6x squared? I'd say pause the video and write down what you think it should be. Spend as much time as you need to think about it. So this is going to be 3x. So now I want you to repeat this process. Take this 3x times this, go ahead and finish the subtraction. Even if you got it wrong the last time, let's try again. Let's see if you can smooth it out this time. So this is going to be 6x squared minus 9x. And again, I'm subtracting all of this off. So I'm going to flip all my signs just so I can really clearly see what's happening here. So I can distribute that negative. And so now I can see my 6x squareds drop out. And I've got 3x plus 9x, so that's going to give me 12x. Cool. So now, what do I multiply 2x by to get to 12x? Oops, and I forgot to bring down that plus 5. My bad. So 2x goes into 12x 6 times. So again, let's repeat the process. So 6 times 2x is 12x, and 6 times -3 is -18. So I'm subtracting all of this off. So once again, I'll just go through and replace all my signs. And I can see here, so my 12x's drop off. Sorry, I'm running out of room here. So this is going to be 23 down here. Okay, so now we are out of variables, right? So I actually can't multiply 2x by anything to get to 23. So this is a remainder, and this is the other situation that can happen. So whatever sign your remainder has is what you're going to put into the equation. So this is positive, so I'm going to add my remainder. If this were a negative remainder, then I would subtract my remainder. So 23, and then I'm going to put it over the divisor. So here's the final answer. So I've got 2x squared plus 3x plus 6 plus 23 over 2x minus 3. Okay, so I have now 4 more examples of this just to make sure that you're solid. So let's try another one like this. So I've got 5x cubed minus 13x minus 16x plus 2 divided by 5x plus 2. So what I would recommend for this one is to just go, I wouldn't go all the way through quite yet. Let's make sure that you're still solid on this. So let's go in pieces again, just like we did for the last example. And if you didn't do the last example on your own, you are not going to master this by just watching me do it. I'm awesome at this because I have done this for a long time. If you are trying to master this, you got to get in there and do it. It's not a spectator sport. So, all right, let's go through this again together. What do I need to multiply 5x by to get to 5x cubed? Pause the video if you need to write it down. So this should be x squared. So the next thing that I want you to do is I want you to take x squared times this and subtract it off. So finish the subtraction and then hit play when you're ready. So this is going to be 5x cubed plus 2x squared. And next I need to subtract that off. Now this is of course the tricky part. I like to flip all my signs just so I can really clearly see what's happening. So I can see that the 5x cubes drop out. And then I've got negative 13x squared minus 2x squared. So this is going to be minus 15x squared. Bring the negative 16x down and let's repeat the process. So now what do I need to multiply 5x by to get to negative 15x squared? And again, pause the video if you need to think about it. So this will be minus 3x. So let's repeat the process. Negative 3x times all this. Go ahead and finish that step. Hit play when you think you are ready. So this will be negative 15x squared minus 6x, but then I'm subtracting all of this off, so all of these signs get flipped. So these 15x squareds drop out, and then I've got negative 16x plus 6x, so this will equal negative 10x, and now I can bring that plus 2 down. And the process repeats. So what do I need to multiply 5x by to get to negative 10x? So again, now maybe you want to just finish the problem. I would say finish it all the way and then hit play when you think you've got it. So this is going to be minus 2. So minus 2 times 5x plus 2, this is going to be negative 10x minus 4. Subtract all that off. And again, sorry, I'm running out of space. These problems take up a lot of room. And so in the end, I am left with a 6. So since I am left with 6 now, I can't go any farther. I don't have any more variables. So to finish this, 6 is positive, so this will be a positive remainder, 6 over 5x plus 2. Okay, so hopefully it's kind of starting to come together. By the way, if you're finding this helpful, I would love it if you would like this video, leave me a comment just to let me know how things are going, or subscribe to the channel. Okay, so we've got 3 more examples in this video, just to help make sure that you've mastered this. I've tried to choose some interesting examples. So I've got x cubed plus 27 divided by x plus 3. So this is actually a really great way, if you know the sum and difference of forms for, or sum of difference of cubes for factoring. If you forget that formula, this is actually an alternative way on how you can figure out that formula. So a lot of people remember this part of the factorization, but they very often forget the other part. So this is also, by the way, just a little hack for that. Okay, so I'm going to set this up as x plus 3. And remember the other part of this. I need to put in placeholders. So I've got x cubed, 0x squared, 0x, and 27. Okay, so my recommendation to you would be to see, if you're feeling good about this, see if you can go all the way through with the answer. If you want, otherwise, just pause along the solution. I'm going to just go through the solution right now, but pause if you need to, or try it all the way, but let's see if you can get this one all the way. So I've got x times what will give me x cubed. So that's going to be x squared. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times 3 is going to be 3x squared. And we'll subtract this all off. So in subtracting this all off, this will give me negative 3x squared. So I can bring that 0x down. Let's repeat the process. What do I have to multiply x by to get to negative 3x squared? That's going to be negative 3x. So let's do the subtraction, or let's do the multiplication. So this becomes negative 3x squared minus 9x, except I'm subtracting all of this off. And so again, if I want to play with the signs, I can do this, flip them all. And so now I get 9x, bring this 27 down, 9x plus 27. What do I need to multiply x by to get to 9x? That would be plus 9. So if I multiply that together, I get 9x plus 27, and I can see those are obviously going to just drop out entirely. So x squared minus 3x plus 9 will be the answer. And so again, if you remember, if you are familiar with the sum and difference of cubes from factoring, this is what the other part of that formula would be. But if you are somebody that just cannot seem to remember this, you can always use long division to also figure out this answer. Okay, so 2 more examples from here, continuing on with the same idea. So I've got 9x cubed plus 17x minus 4 divided by 3x minus 2. So for this one, I would really recommend just try it from start to finish. See if you can get it. Hit play when you're ready. I am just going to go ahead and go through it. So I'm going to have 3x minus 2. So I notice in this case I've got 9x cubed. I'm missing an x squared, so I'll give it that placeholder. Plus 17x minus 4. All right, let's do this. So what do I need to multiply 3x by to get to 9x cubed? That's going to be 3x squared. So let's do this. 3x squared times 3x will be 9x cubed minus 6x squared. Okay, so let's subtract that all off. So this becomes a minus This becomes a plus. So I'm left with 6x squared. Let's bring that 17x down. 3x goes into 6x squared 2x times, or I need to multiply by 2x. So this will be 6x squared minus 4x. So let's see, subtract that all off. So let's see, this will become minus, this becomes plus. So what do I get? I get my 6x squareds drop out, and I have 21x, bring down the 4. What do I multiply 3x by to get to 21x? That's going to be 7, just 7. So this will be 21x minus 14. And in subtracting that all off, once again, I'm getting a remainder here. So I will switch all of these signs, and I get that this is a remainder of 10. So I'm running out of space. Sorry about that. But since it's positive, this will be 10 over 3x minus 2. Okay, and for our last example, this is a shorter one. So, just to make sure that you're good on this, maybe try this last one and then hit play when you're ready. So I am going to have 5x plus 3 divided into 5x squared plus 28x plus 9. So what do I have to multiply 5x by to get 5x squared? That'll be x. X times 5x is 5x squared. And x times 3 is 3x. So let's subtract all that off. So I'm going to turn this into a plus, minus, minus. So these 5x squareds will drop out. And I'm left with 25x plus 9, bringing the 9 down. So what do I have to multiply 5x by to get to 25x? That's going to be plus 5. And so this will be 25x plus 15. So we'll subtract this off. And so this becomes minus. This becomes minus. So 9 minus 15 will be negative 6. And so here is now a remainder that will be negative. So since it's a negative remainder, I put a minus sign here. So this will be minus 6 over 5x plus 3. Okay, so I tried to keep these review videos shorter, but at this point you might feel like you need to see or do more examples to master this material. So don't worry, I've got you. Every review video comes with a practice problem set, and so the practice problem set includes a PDF of problems with an answer key, and then worked out video solutions. So if you're interested in that, it's all free at divideandconquermath.com. Just go to the review section. Remember, you can't learn math by watching a ton of YouTube videos only. You do need to practice it to master the skill. So please feel free to use my other practice materials if you're trying to master this topic. And by the way, my review series has many other topics in it. Each topic includes a refresher video like what you just watched, and then always the practice problems with the answer key and the worked out video solutions. So like I said, it's all free at divideandconquermath.com. Just go to the review section and you'll find everything for free. And otherwise, I'm going to leave the video there. I hope to see you guys in another video. Bye!